Okay, so welcome everybody to the kickoff session of the Partos Community of Practice on Data and Digitalization. We have been working very hard to actually get to this point. It's not just me, but also a very impressive team of, well, colleagues, co-workers that are active in the world of international development, creating social impact through data and digitalization. This session is all about preparing and transforming your organization for the digital age. And today we'll have a very interactive session in which we actually invite you as well to share your challenges, but also your ideas, visions, and opportunities for collaborating and innovating for more impact through digital interventions. But that also really requires us to understand what we mean with digitalization and data processes. So we'll have a bit of both and try to land actually our understanding of digitalization in a more sort of concrete framework, which is then also presented by our friends from Akvo. A couple of other organizations will be joining us and they will be presenting themselves soon. I just want to share a little bit about Partos because maybe you have never heard of Partos before, maybe it's your first time. Perhaps you're also already a member. But we are the Dutch branch organization for international development organizations. And as the innovation hub, we facilitate processes and a platform basically for learning and innovation. Learning and innovation to basically look at what trends and what challenges we are facing in the sector, but also how we can come up with alternative solutions together. And data and digitalization is one of our markers, one of our learning communities, and I'd like to share a little bit about what we're actually doing. Our agenda on data and digitalization. We aim to boost inclusive digitalization in the sector and support organizations in their digitalization journeys by fostering innovation and learning around inclusive, just, and data smart practices. And these last three are basically our pillars on how we're trying to work around this topic of data and digitalization. It has the part of inclusion and the digitalization gap, but also the questions around, well, what is justice and what is, how do we work around challenges in civic space and digitalization? And lastly, of course, how can we be more data smart and data driven? How do we do that? We have three different working streams. The first is basically the one you're attending now. That is the community of practice on data and digitalization. Really see this as the place where practitioners, people interested in data and digitalization can come together and work, exchange, and talk about the different challenges or needs that are basically present in their work. And it's also to you an invitation, an open invitation to come and join us as we're growing and share your practices together as we are doing today. The second one is the Partos Digital Maturity Quick Scan. And this is actually a tool that helps you to understand your position in your digitalization journey. So knowing actually if you're on certain processes, because it has several indicators, if you're still a starter, if you're quite advanced, but also knowing how to improve. It also gives us an idea and overview of where the sector is standing and how we can also foster the sector to become more data and digitally improved. And then lastly, this is an exploration which we would love to do with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we've been having ongoing conversations around a sector-wide mapping of the Dutch digital development landscape. So what initiatives and programs do we see happening around data and digitalization? A little bit more about the digital maturity tool, because we recently launched this. We basically see this as a learning tool that can help organizations to identify their own opportunities and challenges and understanding how they can move forward. It also helps us indeed to grasp the actual state of digitalization in the sector and how we can support organizations in their digitalization journey by tailoring our program and our own activities to our audience. It is also our own impact measurement tool. It helps us to understand how organizations are improving over the time. So we can also use that to inform our own impact. And the little chart you see below is one of the examples of how, like, the different indicators, but also the different levels of maturity that you could then receive with a whole report if you take the digital maturity quick scan. Important to mention is that this beta version is only available for partners at the moment. So the members of Partos. In the future, we might make this available for others as well. But that's good for you to know. So all these 3 different pillars, you're more than welcome to try them out, and also to come and work with us if you have any ideas for other sessions, learning sessions. I will drop my name and also the links to these different tools later on in the chat. So the session outline, what will we do today? I just gave a brief introduction. And we will start with a presentation by Akvo on the overview of the data cycle, and that will be the main framework and skeleton for the session. We will then move into a brainstorm on the challenges and needs that we have as active practitioners. And after that, there will be a couple of case studies presented by the different organizations in the Partos Digitalization core group. After that, we will transition into a semi-break, but also the breakout session. So use the breakout session for yourself if you need to take a quick toilet break. But in these breakout sessions, which you can choose yourself, we will focus more in depth on the different cases. And then we wrap up with a plenary discussion. I think I've talked enough now. Onto Ines. Welcome. Hi.
Hi.
I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Gigi. Hello, everyone. Today I will introduce you to the data management cycle, and I'm sure that most of you will be already familiar with this. We will use this framework, like Gigi said, as the approach or the skeleton for this session, since it allows us to more easily brainstorm on the different challenges that we face around data and digital. So the data cycle is shown on this slide, or should be shown. It's I don't see it. Can you go back? Okay. Or maybe show it like this then.
Yeah, the visualization is not working.
Yeah, okay. But you see it on this slide. And basically, it's a very holistic and cyclical methodology to arrive at the best data and digital solution for your program. It emphasizes the continuous and interconnected nature of data processes, ensures adaptability and relevance in dynamic environments, which of course the development sector certainly is. And it makes sure that you ask the right questions at the right time so you can become data-driven, save resources in the long term, and eventually improve your impact. And the most important aspect here is really this circularity that shows that data management is not a linear process, but as we evolve in our understanding and as the context changes, we will always need to revisit earlier stages and refine the approach continuously. So the idea is that we will now go over each of the phases very shortly to make sure we are all on the same page on what it entails. I will already touch upon some common challenges and also mention the emerging technologies that are out there, or some of them in each of the phases that can provide solution. And then we hope that this gives you lots of ideas to in the brainstorm come up with your own challenges, or maybe you disagree with certain points or you want to add upon them. So we are very curious to hear your thoughts. So the first phase is the design phase. And this is all about gaining clarity on the context of your program, the problem you are trying to solve, the data you need, who has which roles and responsibilities. And it's really about making sure you have all the elements in place to enable the data-driven decision-making. process. And common challenges here are a lack of clarity on your objectives, the absence of a good theory of change that really showcases how your program or the activities you do will lead to impacts. There also might be no clear understanding on how data plays a role in your project, how it can contribute to your indicators and monitoring framework, or maybe data might have been collected already in different formats and different systems, but there is no clear direction on how this information should then feed your decision making. And then, of course, this all in a rapidly changing environment makes it even harder to come up with a long-term data strategy that makes sense. And what we identify here as an example of emerging technologies that can help you are the rapidly improving design tools that are out there, like Figma, Miro, Canva, but also Zoom, as we are in right now, because they really allow for better visualization, but most importantly for collaboration and workshops on another level with team members from all over the world, opportunities to include members that earlier might not be possible. So times where we all needed to come together in one room with Post-its and board markers are belonging more and more to the past. And then when you have a good monitoring framework in place, we come to the next phase of data collection. And this is all about capturing reliable and high quality data and monitoring data collection over time to ensure accuracy and track progress. Here challenges are often underuse of secondary data sources out there, or maybe data that your organization has already collected in the past. Another difficulty might be to choose the best methodology for data collection and determining what is the right fit for certain contexts and for the resources that you have available. And of course, monitoring the incoming data and verifying the quality of it and not having enough skills or especially the capacity in-house to collect enough data, the right data in a timely manner. These are all things that we would identify as common challenges. And new technologies in this field are many. So we go from IoT, there is sensor data, satellite data, are all new types or alternative ways of data collection. Also new types of handheld devices, like, for example, to measure soil moisture, really can take your data collection to another level. Also the concepts of mobile data collection, remote data collection, community-based monitoring are emerging. But we think it's important to note here that, especially in the development context, we should watch out here because these technologies have huge potential, but they can also be biased. And especially in our sector where we are dealing with fragile and often underrepresented regions or target groups, this information should also always be complemented with more traditional data collection methods like field visits, ground truthing, focus group discussions, etc., to make sure that we really capture the whole situation and the whole context. Then when data is captured, it needs to be analyzed to extract the insights that matter. So this phase entails data cleaning, data analysis, to turn your data into valuable conclusions and knowledge. Challenges here are a lack of understanding of all these advanced analytics and the possibilities you have in deriving insights from the data. Also the struggle to use the data set in the most effective way. But it might also be challenging the other way around when you already, when you apply advanced statistical methods, how you can then translate these complex results back to clear and understandable reports that really resonate with your with a variety of your stakeholders. And then emerging technologies here are very much hot topic. We talk about artificial intelligence, deep learning, natural language processing, but also tools like Power BI, they play an important role, especially the rise of open source tools like ChatGPT that allow for the usage of these complex models in a very user-friendly way will definitely change this phase of the data cycle dramatically in the short future, we believe. And then when you have derived these insights from the captured data, the last phase comes in, where of course you need to then share these insights with the relevant people, generate a dialogue from it, and encourage the use of the insights for data-driven decision-making. Here, the struggle to really activate the data so that it's not only used for sharing, but also for learning and improving is something common, a common challenge. Sharing insights in itself can have challenges like privacy issues and facilitating access and reuse by all the relevant stakeholders. Especially access by beneficiaries of your project is often a challenge. And the last important point maybe is that to make sure that your cycle actually gets closed and that there is a feedback loop to the design phase again and further improve upon your setup based on the outcomes. And emerging technologies here are to the use of the new digital possibilities there are to share insights in a more interactive way and really reach a much larger audience, but also to make use of the exponentially growing group of people that own a smartphone, because by being creative and through development of apps, sending texts or WhatsApps, these insights and learning from your program can actually reach beneficiaries much easier and allow them to learn as well. So this is a very short overview of each of these phases and some first ideas on challenges that you might encounter. So I think I give the word back to Gigi now for the more interactive part of this session.
Yes, thank you so much, Ines. And as I will be sharing the link in the chat for the Miro, which we will be using to map some of our challenges in the same cycle that that was just presented, I do want to give the opportunity for people to ask clarifying questions on what you just heard. If you have any longer remarks, please save them for later because there will be ample time for reflection in the breakout sessions. So if you have any questions, raise your hand and then Ines can perhaps address them as I will share the link. Okay, so the link is now in the chat. I will also show you what the idea is about this brainstorm. So as you will all be joining this breakout session, I will ask you to follow me to the upper part of the Miro board. And there you will find this part around brainstorm challenges and needs. And I reckon you all have in some way, you're involved with digital solutions, digital enabled programs, and you probably have encountered some challenges or questions yourself. You're just asked to share some of those ideas and insights on this panel. It's also a panel that you can refer back to after the session as well, if you're wondering what challenges others might have encountered or if there are any learning opportunities involved. Let us know if you cannot access Miro, or if you need any support with that. But for the rest, this is quite easy. I will give us 10 minutes. It's very quick, to basically plant all your ideas on the board. And then we'll have a quick round of reflections together. Okay, so time is up. All of a sudden, our whole campus is full of notes and interesting comments. I would like to invite you to have a look around and see what others have posted as well. So a quick scan. And in the meantime, I also would like to ask people, to come forward if they have any suggestion or any challenge that they would like to introduce or bring forward. Also a question to the other facilitators: if you saw something that is interesting to you, feel free to speak up and make your comment.
Maybe just a quick note from my side, just a reminder to everyone to please add the names of your organizations on the sticky notes, so we can later track your comments and information better and categorize them better. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I do have a question, because I saw a very interesting combination of, I think, two challenges that were jammed together. One is the accuracy of disaggregation, and that then linked to social media platforms. And I was wondering if who shared that, and if they can share a little bit more about what they meant around that challenge.
Hi, my name is Mara. I'm from RNW Media, and I actually posted that as also one of our challenges, because just to expound, like for example, we are looking at data across the social media platforms, but then analytics across the platforms, some have this data on age, for example, gender, but some do not. So when you try to analyze it, like in the higher level, there's not enough or sufficient information on that. And also that's why I wrote accuracy, because we don't know, like people can make accounts like and select even the wrong age, for example. But then when, for example, when we are targeting young people, then how do we really know that all that we reached from the content that we make are really under that age? So yeah, that's still one of the challenges, I'd say.
I see.
It's interesting to hear, like, if they're already, I mean, what others are doing in this. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a clear link to the matter of accuracy of the data that you've collected when it comes to social media accounts and information that you gather there. Interesting. Any other comments or questions? For example, Ines, is there anything that sticked out for you or from the rest of the team? Okay, so to prompt the discussion a little bit more, also for our own understanding, I'm going to ask you to bring out a vote. And it's not going to be a vote linked to a specific comment, but moreover, a vote around where your learning needs are most urgent. So is that, in what phase is it? From the design phase to the understanding, or the sharing and taking action? Which of these phases is most relevant for you? And you're allowed to bring out only 2 votes, actually. We're not going to make 3, but 2 votes. And it's a very short exercise, so I'll give you 2 minutes, and then we will move on.
Gigi, could you maybe clarify what exactly you want people to click on? Because I see that a lot of options come up.
Oh, that's true. I see. The intention was that it was only possible for the bigger, the 4 different fields of the cycle, but that wasn't possible. But you can click on any of the comments below the different phases, and that would help us to give us an understanding of the spread of the different preferences of the audience. Yeah? Fifteen seconds left. Okay. So thank you for helping us out here. We see at the moment the majority of people, I think, selected the design, and I can't see the capture one, but I'm guessing design phase. We will use these information later on for our own understanding, and we'll make a recap later on the different issues that were brought up. Of course, there wasn't enough time to go through all of the different comments, but in the upcoming session where we will dive more into the pitches you will have hopefully more time to discuss that among your peers. So don't worry. I will now move on to the next part, which is the pitches, the presentation of the different case studies. There we go. And this will also be the moment where we introduce the different members of the community of practice core group. And the core group is basically a group of active members that are interested to, well, join in organizing sessions rather than just participating, but also actively organizing and co-creating different topics. The first one, and I will be very strict on time because I know there's a lot to present, but it will be, what did I say? 2 minutes per person, per case?
Yes, I think something like that.
I will time it, so don't be mean if I interrupt.
We'll be brief. So thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Giban. I am from Data4Development. We are a consultancy helping bridge the gap between nonprofits and technology. So we do that through data-related solutions as well as digital transformation. And I will be co-hosting a breakout session today with Marianne van Weverwijk from Wilde Ganzen. It's a Dutch NGO working on poverty and inequality via community-led initiatives. So we will be presenting the project we have done together over the past more than a year now, which has been to help Wilde Ganzen in its ambition of becoming more data-driven as an organization. So that included in decision-making, in terms of monitoring, as well as meeting data needs, both internally and externally, and finally also in terms of data accessibility. So just as a snapshot. What we kind of did as D4D with Wilde Ganzen is that we walked them through a quick scan in which we identified actual blockages to this journey. So they're summarized on the slide, for example, data silos between the departments, as well as an over-reliance on Excel. So maybe some other organizations present will identify with this. And in the visual here, we have an example of what we're going to dive more into the actual breakout session of the kinds of methods we use together to really map the flows of data across the organization to identify those gaps and then work together towards, for example, refining KPIs and streamlining the whole design framework, the whole results framework, I mean, so that it's actually coherent at all levels of the organization. So as a sneak peek here, and if you could quickly go to the next slide as well, just to give another sneak peek of, we're going to be talking about the sort of before and after of how Wilde Ganzen was dealing with data in the form of Excel and through a sort of very numeric manual way, and how we came to the decision that actually it would be ideal to have a KPI dashboard using Power BI and sort of the design sort of choices and questions that came up there. So that's the sneak peek of what we'll be talking about. So if you're interested, please join our session, and we'd be looking forward to also hearing your thoughts and your challenges. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Anna. So keep it in mind, becoming data-driven, #1 option of the breakout session. The next one, can I invite Akvo?
Yeah, sure you can. I'm Robert Meerman, working for Akvo, and we empower citizens and governments to become, again, also more data-driven, so that I can solve complex problems in different sectors. The sectors that we work in include water, agriculture, and climate, and we're active across the globe, actually. And I'm really happy and proud to be co-hosting this session with Francis, who is on the photo on the right. I thought last minute to include a photo because Francis' camera is not working today, so then at least you have an idea what he looked like. And next to Francis, who has been working with Akvo for the last 10 years already, We have Abdullah Rabdo, who's working for Akvo in our West Africa office. And also Rabdo has been with us for numerous years, and both of them are going to tell you more about their experiences from the field, more particularly on a program that is funded by IDH, a Farm Fit program on collecting primary farm level data at scale. And a second experience from the field that will be highlighted more is a ground truthing data collection exercise that we're doing with Rabobank's Acorn. So if you want to learn more about the ins and the outs of data capture, data collection, and the stories that and experiences that we've accumulated so far, please join group number 2. And before I forget, this is obviously a discussion. We do not pretend to have all the knowledge of all the world, so we do stimulate discussions and sharing of best practices and failures as well, which is important, equally important. So thanks, and looking forward to speaking to you.
Perfect.
Yep.
Right on time. On to the next one, which is SNV together with Brillo from Mozambique.
Thanks, Kiki. My name is Walt from Zeeland. I'm a Global Technical Advisor at Digital Innovation at SNV. We apply digital solutions in the 3 main sectors that we work in: agri-food, energy, and water. And today we have, I think, a very interesting case. It's an energy project in Mozambique, the Brillo project, and it focuses on SDG 7. That's access to sustainable energy by 2030. And it's designed with a market-based approach that focuses on improved cooking solutions, solar home systems, and green mini-grids. And it has quite ambitious targets for impact. For example, 1.8 million Mozambicans with improved access to reliable, clean energy, 17,000 businesses making use of off-grid energy, and also to mobilize 27 million British pounds in private sector investment. So that means that there's a lot of data being collected throughout the project. And the challenge here that we would like to discuss is, how do you bring all these different data sources together and in a dashboard and create insights to manage the project well and achieve the set goals? So my colleagues, Jose and Tatiana, will show the impact dashboard that they made and how they use it to for adaptive management of their projects. So based on the insights they achieve, they see on the dashboard, they change the way how the project is being implemented and to achieve the results. They will also present some lessons learned, and then there will be a discussion on some of the challenges other the participants have on understanding data within their projects.
Wonderful. I believe there were a couple of other slides, but you all mentioned them in your pitch, and the slides will be shared afterwards as well. Then lastly, we have RNW Media.
Yes, thanks. I'm Hunas. I work at RNW Media. We are a digital media accelerator. We work with local change makers to accelerate their impact on their societies. These change makers are usually using digital media to create social change. So as an example of this, you can think of online content creators or bloggers who are sharing reliable information on an important topic, like an upcoming election, to help young people access this information and therefore make better informed decisions. We aim to strengthen the capacity of them as local actors so they can better impact the lives of young people. When it comes to shaping a narrative around our impact, you can already see that our challenge is to combine 2 layers of data to form a story. On one hand, we want to showcase the impact of our work with the change makers. And on the other hand, we of course want to show how that can ultimately cause positive social and behavioral change and affect the lives of young people. So last year, our data team conducted a series of interconnected data collection activities that meant to collect from data from our partners and their end users in both qualitative and quantitative forms. They extensively interviewed about 15 partners to better understand how we have positively impacted them, and through them surveyed around 2,500 users on the results of this work on their lives. The results were outstanding. Aside from the quantitative data, we managed to create a body of qualitative data that told us how exactly we have impacted the lives of our end users, being young people, through the work done with our partners. So today in Breakout Room 4, we will explore the challenges and needs of storytelling, focusing on collaboration methods that work best for your organization, and also keeping storytelling in mind when designing data collection frameworks. What are the needs and what are the challenges? So if you're interested in this topic, join us in room 4.
All right, wonderful. So we have 4 very impressive stories, 4 different case studies that you're now welcome to join. We will open the breakout sessions in a bit, and it's free for you to choose which one of these case studies you want to attend. It's also possible to switch in between if you feel like you want to do that. But do take into account that I will be trying to also be a floor manager, so I will make sure that there is equal representation. So if one of the rooms is quite full, I will ask some people to move on to another side. But the rooms will now be opened. It's pretty easy following the different phases. Number 1, on becoming data-driven. Number 2, on capturing data from Brilio SNV. Akvo, am I correct actually? Or am I twisting it? It's maybe in the
yeah,
it's the wrong order.
Capturing data would be Akvo, and then the third one is SNV. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
understanding is SNV. Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry about that. It's a little bit of a visualization challenge for me. And then RNW Media obviously is sharing data. You should now be able to access the different spaces. And we will have approximately 30 minutes for this session, so plenty of time for discussion. Take your break in between this session. So hopefully see you in 30 minutes and enjoy. At the same time, so as we've moved back, I'm curious to know from the workshop or the different case study hosts, if you can share some reflections of what has been discussed in your breakout sessions. Perhaps we can follow the same route. So starting with the first one from SNV and Wilde Ganzen. Could you give us a very short recap of what has been discussed?
Shall I? Okay. Yeah, we had a very interesting topics to discuss. One of the things was that it is important to close gaps between departments to allow transparency about your results. And from the Wilde Ganzen perspective, creating an organization-wide theory of change really helped us getting there. And we also discussed to improve data awareness within an organization, then it helps to have a team dedicated to this subject, consisting of from people from all departments, so that you create like a bottom-up effect of your knowledge within the organization. Anna, do you have something to add?
I think that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any reflections from the participants in the room, perhaps? No, then let's move on to, yeah, Robert.
Yeah, hi. We had some trouble getting more diverse participants in because most were, I guess, in the first group in design. But nevertheless, the ones that did attend were quite familiar, actually, and were quite happy to see the data collection challenges that we presented were quite familiar to them. So they recognized a lot of the challenges that we've presented, not always the solutions that we had in mind. So that is, I guess, and hopefully that will be taken up further separately with them. So familiarity is one thing. Second is an important conclusion, I think, is that well, it's not only about data collection, it's the step prior to data collection. So designing it and obviously sharing it, that is an important conclusion that we could make. I mean, that shows by the fact that more of the participants were interested in the designing part and in the sharing part of the data cycle. So, and that is, I think, a good conclusion for us, that it's not only about data collection, but it's also like, what do you want to do with it afterwards as well? That is really an important thing to think about. And we concluded, but yeah, there wasn't really enough time for that, with how AI can be involved in data collection. So how do you, I mean, it's huge AI, but what kind of elements of AI do you pick out for your remote data collection or for your data collection at all? We didn't conclude on the last paragraph, but that's definitely something of interest that we should research further.
Thank you also for that note, because AI is often indeed related to the visualization, for example, or working with data, but it definitely can be interesting in data collection processes. On to the next one from SNV and Brillo.
I can say something, or Tatjana, you want to?
Yes, I can. Hello, everyone. We explained our systems and why we need them. What is the aim for them? We didn't have much time to go further because we, as I mentioned, we are a program that is highly based online. All of our, the majority of the data that we collect, I could say 99% is collected through platforms, apps, etc. So we didn't have time to finalize it. But we did have a good exchange of also the importance of how to regarding quality data, because when we talk about a lot of these new tools, it's all very centered around quantitative data. Thank you.
Thank you, Tatjana. Walter, any other comments?
Yeah, so it was, we had a bit of discussion, as Tatjana was already saying, on how do you combine these quantitative and qualitative data sources, and I think that's a challenge for a lot of organizations. And I think a participant from Word and Daad mentioned how they try to do that, so it was quite interesting. There's the dashboard. Yes,
right.
So this is the Brillo dashboard, where they collect lots of data and to keep an overview of how the program is progressing. And And one of the conclusions we came to was that the design process is very important. So it's very understandable that most participants were actually in the first group, because it really starts with having a good design, knowing what data you need, what data methods you're going to use to collect the data, because then you can only come up with this kind of dashboards that provide the right insights that you need to manage your project well.
Yeah, thank you. Really
Just
impressive as well.
2 points. It's this is the last dashboard. We have several. So this one is the results one that we just control results. We have all the ones that control many other things that that our management team can follow. And important, design and budget, because it is expensive to maintain everything coming up on as frequent as we have.
Thank you, Tatiana, for the final remark. And really impressive to see your presentation. Also, definitely because you have so many different data sources that you bring into this Power BI visualization. So thank you for that. Then finally, RNW Media.
Yes, so on general challenges when it comes to storytelling, we discussed the notion of security first. So how some users or partners wish to remain anonymous and how that challenges our narrative building activities. And a solution that was raised was using data anonymously, obviously, and in the context rather than focusing on individuals. What we do at RNW Media is that we have done an extensive partner mapping that helps us then and know with every case what security concerns there are to be taken into account. Another point that was raised was how to involve the affected people in decision making. This was raised by opinion. So real-time involvement via YouTube streaming was mentioned as a solution. And I can tell you that for RNW Media, we focus on capturing the voices of young people via surveys. But YouTube streaming is also a very interesting solution. In terms of collaboration with the right teams to collect and share data in a meaningful way, we discussed that it is important to capture input from all parties, including local partners, and really engage in a process of co-creation of storytelling. A challenge that was raised was finding the right tone of voice, avoiding jargons, and staying relevant to local communities' perspective by finding the specific storyline or anecdote to use. And solutions, in the opinion of our group, can focus on working closer with local partners in gathering feedback and improving the design of our storytelling projects. So creating a feedback loop was also raised as an important element. And finally, in terms of methods of integrating storytelling better in our data collection frameworks, a very interesting point was raised that sometimes in an organization, stories are collected with PR purposes in mind and not necessarily with monitoring and evaluation in mind. Also, this person added that we should be informing our survey respondents, for example, or the people that we are interviewing for what purpose their content is going to be used. For example, in this case, for the purpose of storytelling. One last comment on data for storytelling was that it is more likely to arrive at good stories when they are created by a person who is familiar or who has affinity with the situation. So really the topic of focusing on the topic of inclusion and creating more understanding for the stories that we are creating. I think if anyone from our group wants to add anything, we would be happy to hear that.
Anyone? Okay. Yes, I see some applause as well. We have a couple of minutes left for final remarks or questions. So I would like to open the floor for any thoughts that you would still like to share. Perhaps any questions from the core group as well, to the audience or to each other. If not, I have one question, because I mean, it was brought up and I feel like I can't ignore it, but the topic of AI was brought in, and we were also talking about emerging technologies, right? And I believe that in each one of these phases, AI can probably be a very relevant topic, but potentially also something that might bring challenges in terms of ethical use of it. I'm wondering if we have any practices within this community right here of the use of AI in data and digitalization practices. Yes, please.
I'm even working for Oxfam Novib, and Oxfam is currently just setting a few baby steps, venturing into the wonderful world of AI. So I cannot really speak from Oxfam's experience. That said, as I said in the Breakout group, I am part of an AI for social good movement. We are organizing AI for social good seminars, and in these seminars, the ethical use of AI is always a topic of discussion, and it's, I think, even more so now because of the recent developments in AI. I think all of us have experimented with ChatGPT and so on. And so because it's become more and more widespread, risks are even higher, and so how to mitigate those risks is also a topic of discussion. Yeah, I just want to say really that if people are interested to discuss this even more, and if you are interested in being part of these seminars, you can reach out to me. I think I mentioned my email address in the chat. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to also bring people from our AI for Social Good network to discuss the ethical use of AI. If that's of interest to people here or to Partos, GG. Yeah, you can let me know.
Thanks for explaining, and sounds very interesting, the seminars that you've mentioned. Your email address is in the chat. Also find the email address and contact details of the other presenters. We will make sure that this is circulating among the participants. I've also shared the Partos Digital Maturity Quick Scan and a link to our website for more information on our work on data and digitalization. And then finally, I would really like to thank all the hosts that did a wonderful job of presenting and pitching the case studies today, and also diving more into that in the breakout sessions. Appreciate all the hard work. And what we will do from now onwards, we will come back as a core group to also, well, dive into the needs and challenges that were brought in. And based on that, we will come up with a learning agenda in which we will invite the community of practice, you as well, to join us to, well, get better in what we are aiming to do. And that's it for now. I really would like to give a round of applause and thanks for all the presenters. Thank you so much. And I'm wishing you a wonderful day. And feel free to reach out to me or anyone else if you have any questions. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.